All right, so let's begin. Today we are going to look at writing test task 1. And for your purpose or for your sake, the writing test task 1 is actually letter. Now, letter writing is the first phase of your writing test. During your letter writing, you are expected to spend 20 minutes. Now, within this 20-minute period, you are meant to write a minimum of 150 words. And then your letter writing would give you 33.31% of the total mark you get from the writing module of the IELTS test. Now, in your writing test, you never can tell the type of letter that would come. You never can tell where your question would come from. But I would like to ask, how many types of letters do we have? Two types of formal and informal letters. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. If you are viewing from our YouTube channel, kindly like this video. And of course, you can share the link to your friends who may need this platform or this sort of platform to prepare for the IELTS. Now, coming back to you, there are 3 types of letters. So we have the informal letters, we have the semi-formal letters, and then, of course, we have the formal letters. So by general concept or general interpretation, there are 2 types. But by practice, there are 3 types of letters. So you really need to understand that there are 3 types of letters so that you make your mind open and free to accommodate the 3rd type. Because a lot of people fail their writing tests due to the fact that when the question comes, if it is not an informal letter, then they feel that automatically it is a formal letter. All right? So because of that, they fail any question that is supposed to be treated as semi-formal letter. All right? So there are 3 types of letters: the informal letters, the semi-formal letters, and the formal letters. We shall treat the 3 types of letters today. But before we get into those types of letters, let's understand that when you are writing your letter, normally, perhaps when you are treating a semi-formal letter or a formal letter, there is usually something you write by this side of your paper, and there is something you write by this corner of your paper, and there is usually something you write at this point. On the YouTube platform, or from the YouTube platform, what do you write at this corner of your paper? What do you write on here, and what do you write at this part of your letter? I would like to see your response to this question at the comment section of this video. So please, Gospel, let's learn from you. What do we usually write at this corner?
At the right hand, it's your own address.
It's what?
The left one is the receiver's address.
Okay, you say this is for what?
The writer's address.
Thank you. And this is what?
The receiver's address.
All right. What do you usually write on here?
The heading of the letter.
Thank you. So that's very correct. When you're writing an official letter, whether a semi-formal letter or a formal letter, normally right here you have the writer's address and date. At this corner, you have the recipient's address. Then right here, like you said, it's usually the subject of the letter. Now in IELTS, please, you do not need any of these guys. You don't need to write them. They are not necessary. Do you understand? IELTS expects you to go straight to your letter. Go straight to your letter. Now, next, I would like to expose to us that there is a formula for writing letters. Right. So let's begin. Here is the formula for writing your letter. Irrespective of the type of letter it might be. The formula shows that your letter does not need address, whether it is writer's address or recipient's address or your subject of the letter. None of those is required right here. Right? So IELTS just wants you to go straight to your letter. So how do you do this? You are expected to begin with salutation. And salutation in IELTS letter writing must begin as dear, then whoever it is, and a comma. So that's why the formula simply starts with salutation. So let's see what can play out here. We are looking at informal letter to begin with. So for informal letter, let's understand, what does it mean? How can you define an informal letter? What is an informal letter? Yes, Gospel, what is an informal letter?
Informal letter is a kind of letter we write to our friends, family, this.
Okay, that's very correct. That's very correct. All right. So informal letters are letters you write to people who are related to us or who are related to you, either by blood or by friendship. Informal letters are letters you write to people who are related to you, either by blood or by friendship. Okay? So when you look at informal letter, IELTS expects your choice of words, that's your diction, and the tone of your letter to be strictly informal. It is only in informal letters that IELTS accepts you to show off what we call contractions. Contractions. informal letters accept contractions. What are contractions? Contractions can be shown by way of contracting two words together using apostrophe. This is contraction. So rather than writing cannot, contraction says write can't. Right? So you are free to show off lots of contractions when you are treating an informal letter. Please don't forget this. So your informal letter is meant to show a high level of informal relationship you have with a person. You are expected to show off, to express yourself as though you are having the physical rapport with the person. But don't bring in vernacular, don't bring in slangs. But you are free to show off contractions. Now let's look at how to apply the formula to treat or take on your informal letters. Like I said earlier, the first thing you must begin your letter with is salutation. So salutation in an informal letter must be or begin as dear whoever it is you're writing to, then a comma. Right? So after your dear whoever it is, the next thing is your first paragraph. Your first paragraph should indicate what we call exchange of pleasantries. Exchange of pleasantries. And after that, you bring in another thing we call recall of past memory. Recall of past memory. And then lastly, on your paragraph 1, you bring in what we call purpose of writing. Purpose of writing. Now your second paragraph. The second paragraph of your informal letter needs to show off detailed purpose of writing. For your detailed purpose of writing, you are expected to show some facts and figures. Then the third paragraph has to do with you either proffering solution or stating your preferred solution. And for this, you are expected to, in a way, show when and how you want the issue to be resolved. Right? Then your fourth paragraph, which is actually optional. What you need to do in your fourth paragraph, if necessary, is to talk about your conclusion. And then lastly, we have closure. The closure for informal letter can be best wishes, your comma comes in, then just a name. It could be a nickname. Or you can as well say warm regards, your comma again, and then just one name. It could also be a nickname. So these are ways you can close your informal letter. Now let's understand an informal letter. When you begin your letter and you are asking maybe a friend of yours, or you are informing your parents, you are inviting them over to your school for your convocation or your graduation ceremony. So you are writing, "Dear mom and dad." That is the salutation. "Dear mom and dad." Then your paragraph 1 comes in, opening with exchange of pleasantries, where you begin to ask your parents, "How is everyone? How is your job? I hope the environment is calm. I believe my younger brother by the name so and so is not giving you lots of hassle. I hope your health is better now." So you are talking about pleasantries here. Then after that, you want to talk about a particular scenario that happened that you want to recall. It could be their last visit, their previous visit to your school, maybe on one of during an occasion that they attended. So you want to establish or remind them about that particular visit being the talk of the day in your school, how people really had fun with all that they came with, how memorable it was for you, and perhaps always wanting to have a repeat of such particular memorable day. So that is your recall of past memory. That's your recall of past memory. Please, do you understand this? Gospel, do you understand the explanation of recall of past memory? Remember. All right. So you may just have to reminisce a particular scenario that happened maybe long ago or not too long ago, then you launch your purpose of writing. Purpose of writing. I would like to give you the full meanings of these acronyms. Exchange of pleasantries. This is where you get to ask your parents or whoever you're writing to that you have intimate relationship with. You are asking the person how he or she is faring, how the job is going, how the new environment is, and all that. Exchange of pleasantries. Then you want to recall something that happened. This is what we call recall of past memory. You want to have a retrospect, a reminisce of something that has happened in the past, and perhaps you always look forward to having a repeat of such rendezvous or outing or incidents, right? Then here you bring in your purpose of writing, the reason for writing the informal letter should come in at your first paragraph, right? You are just to give a hint, just an introductory aspect of it. Do not go into details at this point. Then after that, you talk about your detailed purpose of writing. Okay? Your detailed purpose of writing should come with some facts and figures. Now, facts and figures in this context is all about giving dates, data, information. They are not actually facts per se, but they make your writing to, in a way, appear to be fact-like. Okay? So let's assume you are inviting your parents over to your school or to attend your graduation ceremony. Your detailed purpose of writing has to establish that, in line with the fact that your graduation is just around the corner, specifically on the 4th of May 2024, right? You are eligible to invite your parents alongside one or two other friends of yours, right? So now those are facts. When you're writing, don't always focus on spelling everything. 24th of August, you are writing everything in words. No, try to factor some of the information data in figure. Please don't forget that. Factor them, bring them in figures. Okay? So that's what you need to remember, because you are talking about facts and figures. Now, the program is slated to take place on so and so date. Okay? Remember, don't press the power button, else it goes off. All right. So it's slated to or scheduled to take place on a certain day. You mentioned the date. The graduation is for 95 of us or 23 of us in a final grade. And the remarkable thing about this is I have been nominated to give a valedictory speech. All right? And I would like you to watch me make a mind-blowing speech, which I'm sure will make you really proud of who I have grown to be. Also, I have been earmarked as an awardee or award nominee, right? I've been nominated for awards, right? I would like you to also appear in the group photographs that I'll be taking. And of course, you will be opportuned to speak to our news group or news club, as they will interview most of the parents of those who are the high flyers of this particular graduation batch or set. It's going to last for about 2 hours or 3 hours. There's a lot to eat and so much to drink. However, I always enjoy meals that are particularly prepared by you. And the last time you came with such meals, it was the talk of the day in my school. And I want a repeat of such experience. You are telling your parents, you are giving them facts and figures. Create them from your mind. Then your third paragraph, you want to proffer solution. Since the event will be taking place on maybe the 24th of May, 2024, it will be nice, because of distance, that they come around on 23rd. The school has made provisions for accommodation for parents coming from far distance. So they should try as much as possible to arrive a night before. However, if there is a way they can make it possible to come in on that D-Day, then that's fine. Meanwhile, this program will be starting at about 10 a.m. and there is no room for delay or late coming. So everyone is meant to be in the school and seated before 10 a.m. You are giving them solutions. It's a corporate program, so it would be nice if they come in a corporate attire. However, if it will not be convenient for them, then of course your native attire is okay. But just ensure that it will be free on you. You feel comfortable having to display or show off some dance steps or moves. Then you may also be invited to give a little talk about who you feel I am. This is a little time of getting to know who. It's organized and being put as a part of the program of the day. It's titled Meet and Greet. You are giving all of this kind of information. So you expect your parents to make some research or possibly find time and call you on the cell phone. So you give them some tips of the kinds of questions that they may be asked and how they should respond to questions concerning you, especially when it comes to your likes and dislikes. So you are giving them solutions. Then your fourth paragraph, you are closing or concluding your letter. Thank you, Dad and Mom. You've always been there for me, starting from my first day at school to this last day of my graduation. I'll be really proud if you would be present in this particular ceremony. It will make me feel pretty much fulfilled. And I'm sure you'll be proud of who I am and I have actually turned out to be. God bless you, Mom and Dad. I look forward to seeing you. Best wishes. Your son, Kevin. Right? You just end or close your letter. Right? So these are ways of writing an informal letter. Just ensure that you don't begin to blow heavy grammar. You are talking to your parents. You already have that intimate relationship with your parents. So use your regular English expressions while talking or writing to your parents. Remember, it is an informal letter. So you are not expected to show off a lot of informal expressions, turgid words, advanced, so much advanced English. Okay? And you should also remember that contractions are well accepted in informal letter. Contractions can't, won't. These sort of expressions, they are highly accepted in informal letters. So please make use of them. Now, during your closure, you can use the pet name that your parents call you by. Use the nickname that your parents know you with. Or use just the short form of the name that they call you. All right? It's highly accepted. It is an informal letter. All right, so if you're viewing from the YouTube channel, kindly like this video by clicking on the like button, the thumbs up button. Please click on there to show that you like the video. If you have any question that you need some clarifications, you can drop any queries or inquiries or questions on the comment section of this video. I will personally respond to them at the end of the session. So this is all about the informal letter. If you have any question, please, this is the right time. We can treat your questions right on the comment section if you have any. All right, I'll read it out or write on the board and then address the situation right about now. Else, let's go into the semi-formal letter and the formal letter. Okay, so let's begin. Do you have any question on the comment section? Any question? Okay, that's fine. Let me quickly spy through. Okay, no question. All right. So let's get onto the semi-formal and the formal letters. Please like the video as you're learning from what we are given. Now let's begin. What is a semi-formal letter? What do you think is a semi-formal letter? Gospel, can we learn from you? Semi-formal letter, what do you think it is?
The kind of letter that is like in between. It's not formal and it's not informal, just at the video.
Okay, at the middle of who? Okay. All right. That's fine. So just to help you out, you might want to say, please confirm to me, Gospel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Now let me explain. I'm sure you were trying to establish that semi-formal letters are usually in between formal and informal letters, right? Just for your note taking, semi-formal letters are letters that we write to people we have official relationship with. Semi-formal letters are letters we write to people that we have official relationship with. Okay? So, you already know the person you are talking to. You have some level of acquaintance, some level of relationship with the person, although official relationship. Okay? So, when you are writing the person, there are some features you should bring in. There are some features you should bring into your semi-formal letter, right? Now, examples of semi-formal letters would be letters you write to your school leader, letters to your professors, letters to your lecturers, letters you write to your landlord, letters you write to your clergy, right? Like your religious leaders, letters you write to your traditional rulers or leaders, letters you write to your employer, letters you write to your head of department or line manager or supervisor, letters you write to your children's school teacher or school management. These people, you have an existing official relationship with them. So you know them by their names, you know them by their marital status, whether they are single or they are married or they are divorced, you know their marital status and their name. Now, what about formal letters? What are formal letters? Now, formal letters are the type of letters you write to people occupying official positions or portfolios that you have no relationship with. You may not even have met them for once. You don't know who they are. As a matter of fact, you may not know if it's a male or a female that's occupying the position. So at this point, you are writing a strictly formal letter, right? Unlike semi-formal letter that you get to write to someone you have that official relationship with. You know the person by the name. You know the person's marital status. And you have that working relationship with the person. In formal letters, you don't have no such information. You have no such relationship with the person. Okay? So how does it work? Example of formal letters. You're talking about letters for employment, application letters for employment. You're talking about letters to bid for contracts. You're talking about letters to media houses. You're talking about letters of resignation. You're talking about letters to open a bank account with a particular bank. If you're writing a letter to a particular business organization that you've got something from and you have issues with the item and you need to write to the manager, you don't know who the manager is because you've never had any contact with the manager. It is a formal letter, right? So let's look at how we can apply this formula to your semi-formal and your formal letters. Remember, in your letter writing, whether it is a formal letter or a semi-formal or an informal letter, whether it's formal, semi-formal, informal. Remember, you don't need your address, the writer's address that you write at the top right-hand corner of your letter. You don't need that. You don't need your date. You don't need the recipient's letter that you write at the left-hand side. It must begin with salutation. And your salutation has to begin with dear whoever it is, the official name, you know, the person's marital status. So your salutation should come in this template. Dear Mr. Richie, comma, dear Mrs. Donald, comma. It could be dear Miss Cruz, comma. It could be dear Miss Brown, comma. This is how your semi-formal letter salutation should look like. You already know whom you're writing to. So you should address the person by beginning with dear, then the marital status, and the person's official name. But if it is a formal letter, you just need to write the standard approach. There's just one approach, which is dear sir slash madam. So for formal letter, there is a standard template, which is dear sir slash madam. While the semi-formal letter, you need to address the person with beginning with salutation such as dear, then the marital status, whether it's a miss or Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. Then you write the person's first official name in full. You don't abbreviate, you don't contract in semi-formal letter or formal letter. Every word you must write has to be written in full. Okay? Then for your paragraph 1, for semi-formal letter, there is an option of exchanging pleasantries. It is optional. It is optional. If you don't want to bring that in at all, then you go straight to your purpose of writing. So your semi-formal letter can optionally, as a matter of option, you can exchange pleasantries. But if you don't want to exchange pleasantries, go straight to your purpose of writing. However, if it is a formal letter, you have no reason to talk about exchange of pleasantries. You have no reason to begin to ask your potential employer, how are you, sir? How is work? You have no business with that. You just need to go straight to your purpose of writing. Now, just to draw your attention to something, if you are treating a semi-formal letter and you choose to exchange pleasantries, there is a caution. The caution is that you should restrict your pleasantries to your official relationship with the person. If you're writing to your line manager or your supervisor, your exchange of pleasantries, if you wish to, should be restricted to office questions. How is the office? How is the workload? I'm trust they are not being overwhelmed by the workload. I believe also that the welfare is now better off. You are talking about office. Don't go overboard by asking the person, how is your family. You have no business with the person's family, right? Now, if you don't want to exchange pleasantries at all, just restrict your paragraph 1 to your purpose of writing, and that's all. For your formal letter, automatically you're going straight to your purpose of writing. Okay? Now let's go to paragraph 2. For your second paragraph, you are to give detailed purpose of writing. And this requires you to show some facts and figures. Okay? Now, for the formal letter, same thing applies. Same thing applies. You are also talking about your detailed purpose of writing, whether it is semi-formal letter or formal letter. Okay? Now let's look at your third paragraph. In your third paragraph, what do? It's either you proffer solution or you give your preferred solution, and this can be achieved by establishing when and how you want the issue to be resolved. Okay? Same thing is applicable here. In your third paragraph, in your fourth paragraph, what do? This is where you talk about your conclusion. Same thing applies when you are treating a formal letter. Now let's look at the closure for your semi-formal letter. The closure for your semi-formal letter is best done using this format. Yours sincerely, then comma, your first and last name. Some persons may choose to say warm regards, first and last name. Okay? But if it is a formal letter, there is only one template with which you can close your letter, and that's usually yours faithfully, then you need to sign, and then your first and last name. That's what you do for your formal letter. Now let's talk about how some things you should consider when you're treating your semi or your formal letters. For the semi-formal letter or formal letter, your paragraph 1, there is a standard template that you need to bring in when you are launching or introducing your purpose of writing. There is a standard template. What's that standard template? you begin or introduce your purpose of writing by making this expression. I am writing in connection with. I am writing in connection with. That's the standard template to introduce your purpose of writing. It means you should avoid the use of I hope this meets you well. Avoid it. Avoid the use of I hope this finds you well. Okay? So it is best to use I am writing in connection with an advert I read on one of the dailies where you have advertised an opening inviting qualified and interested applicants to put in the application for the position of whatever it is. So you want to look at this template. It's the standard template for IELTS. Then your paragraph 3, there is also a standard template. The thing is, you can choose to bring in that template either in paragraph 3 or in your 4th paragraph. What's that template? That's you saying, I would appreciate it if that's a standard template of, winding down your paragraph 3 or starting your paragraph 4 before your conclusion. So I would appreciate it if my application is giving due considerations. I would appreciate it if my request is giving swift response. I would appreciate it if whatever it is you want to say. Then you end your closure by saying, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to receiving a positive response. Or thank you so much as I anticipate your kind feedback or swift response to my request. Yours sincerely or yours faithfully, depending on the type of letter. Then you put your first and your last name. If it is a formal letter, after yours faithfully, you need to sign, append your signature. Then you write your first and last name. Please, do we have any question? Do you have any question? All right, it's all clear, right? Okay. Let me also inform you, how do you identify an informal letter? It's very straightforward. The question will tell you, write a letter to perhaps your friends or your parents or your brother, siblings, or your piblings or your nibblings. I hope you know the difference between all of these bling blings, right? The difference between what does sibling mean? Sibling. Who is your sibling? Your siblings are your brothers and sisters. Correct. Who is your nibbling or who are your nibblings? Your nephews and your nieces. Your nephews and your nieces are your nibblings. Who are your piblings?
Uncles and aunties.
Your uncles and your aunts are your piblings. So, in case someone says, someone says, could you please, do I know your piblings? And you look at piblings, who are my piblings? So I don't think I have any pibling. You already have, but it's just that they use English that sound weird. Those watching from the YouTube platform, I'm sure you have learned that there is a difference between piblings, nibblings, and siblings. Siblings are your biological brothers and sisters. Your nibblings are your nieces and nephews. Your piblings are your uncles and aunts. Right? So add them to your vocabulary bank. Now, if a letter question happens to be an informal letter, it will not be written. The heading informal letter will not be written. You'll be the one to read the question and decipher the type of letter it is. Right? If it is an informal letter, the caption, the question itself would be clear to you to understand that this is an informal letter. It will require you to write a letter to your brother, write a letter to your friend, write a letter to your parents. These are informal letters because you have intimate relationship, close relationship with these people. So it's easy to decipher an informal question in your IELTS exam. But how do you identify a semi-formal letter? A semi-formal letter comes by way of giving you a clue, giving you some hints on the recipient you are to write the letter to. It will tell you, write a letter to the manager, Mr. or write a letter to your employer. You already know who your employer is. You know that your employer is not a man, it's a woman. You know that your employer's name is Miss Harris. It is a semi-formal letter. If the question says, write a letter to your professor, your school professor or lecturer, you know your lecturer because you've been attending lectures. If a question says, write a letter to your landlord, you know your landlord because you processed your books or papers before packing into the house or accommodation. So for semi-formal letter, there will be a clue about the person you're to write to. And this clue will come with a demonstrative, will I say demonstrative pronoun? Your, right? So it's more like telling you who you are to address the letter to. But if it is a formal letter, there is no such thing as your. There's no such thing as Mr. James. Never. It will only read that, write a letter to the media manager. Write a letter to the chief executive officer. Write a letter to the bank branch manager. All right? So you don't know who is there. You don't know if it's a male or female. You don't know if the male or female is married or divorced or single. So this is why you need to bring in sir/madam. So that if it's a male that is there, the person will strike this out and leave this because this is what goes for him. If it's a female, the person will strike this out and acknowledge this. But if you write only dear sir, it means you already know who is there. So in a way, it is no longer a formal letter. Please, do you understand how to identify the type of letter you're to write?
Yes.
Okay.